All right. What is up, guys? BK Voiceover here, and welcome to our final mock draft of the offseason, mock draft 3.0 for the Seattle Seahawks. This is going to be a 7-round mock draft in a similar fashion to what we've done previously. The first mock draft we've done, was before the Russell Wilson trade and the Bobby Wagner cuts, so that was when we only had 6 picks. Then I did another mock draft about a couple of weeks ago, and that was with no trades. However, this is going to be the absolute final mock draft for the Seattle Seahawks, as the draft is tomorrow. And with this one, we're going to shake things up a bit, and we're actually going to be doing a couple of trades in here. Trades that make sense. I'm not just going to trade. We're going to take a look at what's available and see what we can get the most out of. So without further ado, lovely little draft value chart there. We are going to get started. This is a 7-round mock draft. We're not going to futz with any. We're going to set it to fast. We're not going to futz with any of the defaults. Select the Seahawks and let us go. I don't want to trade up at this point. I don't think there's any situation that Seattle should trade up at all in this draft, so we're just going to get things kicked off and see where we land. So, top part of the draft, not great. Really not great. There are 3 position groups that I would be okay with taking here at 9, and they are offensive tackle, edge rusher, and cornerback. And if we take a look at where it stands, the 3 best edge rushers, the 3 best tackles, and the 2 best corners in this draft are now off the board. So, what do we do from here? I think the best thing we can do right now is trade back and try and recoup, get a couple additional picks. So let's take a look at what trade offers we have. We have trade offer from the Eagles. And I'm going to go and do something a little unorthodox. I am going to trade back here. And Seattle really, really, really needs a stud left tackle. So they have 9 and 15. I am going to get 83. And I saw this trade the other day, and I really liked it. And I think I'm going to try and carry it out. I'm going to go take Andre Dillard from the Eagles. So we're going to get. So the Eagles are going to get pick number 9. We get 15, a 3rd-round pick, and Andre Dillard. Now, Dillard hasn't really gotten many opportunities to start, but I think he is a great development piece to bring around. He's a Washington native. He's only 26 years old, and I think he has a lot of upside. He just hasn't really gotten his shot. So I'm going to take this here, and we're going to send this in. And our trade is accepted. So we gave up 9, we got 15, 83, and Andre Dillard. I like this. So moving on. And things have gone fantastic, I have to say. So let's take a look. Jameson Williams, Garrett Wilson, the top 3 wide receivers go off the board. It would make sense that the Eagles want to jump up ahead of the Jets to get Jameson Williams. They take Kyle Hamilton at Washington. Vikings panic and they take the best corner on the board in Trent McDuffie. And then Drake London to the Texans. I don't really get that. George Karlaftis, really good edge rusher. I don't understand why they didn't take a specific edge rusher that I am going to absolutely take in this case. Now that we've addressed one of our tackle spots, we are going to trade. Or we're not going to trade. We're going to go and get my top edge rusher on the board here, and that is Jermaine Johnson, edge defender out of Florida. Dude is an absolute monster. He went to Georgia, took a chance on himself, transferred to Florida State because he wasn't getting enough touches, and he just went off. Absolutely blew it up at the Senior Bowl. Dude is going to be perfect as an outside linebacker in this new 3-4 defense from Clint Hurt. I love this pick. Love this pick in so many ways. All right, next up, pick number 40. Got a couple offers to trade down, so let's kind of take a look. I'm probably not gonna do it, but let's take a look at what we could get from trading down to 68 here. So it's 40, 68. What would 80 be worth? So let's see. So pick 40, according to this lovely draft value chart. In this case, it'd be worth about 500 points of value. So pick 68 is worth about 250. So we need to get a draft compensation that is going to get us close to 500. So 68 plus 80, that gets us kind of the way there. We need another pick that's worth about 60 points of value. So around like 117, and what do you know? There's 108. I think that this would be a good trade down just because we already have another pick at 41. We've already addressed one of our tackle needs, specifically our left tackle need, and we've addressed and got ourselves a really high-end edge rusher. So I'm okay with doing this and getting more picks just because we seriously need a lot more power on this roster. And of course, like all the big name edge rushers already went before we picked. So Boye Mafe's off the board. Ebiketti's gone. Who else is gone? Linderbaum's gone. Makes sense. Let's take a look at what QBs are gone. So didn't take a QB. They took a corner. First QB off the board actually goes to the Saints at 16. Then who else we got? We've got Desmond Ridder going to the Lions at 32, and then we got the Texans getting Kenny Pickett at 37. So your top three QBs are off the board. I would not be opposed, and they took David Ajaba. That's fine. We've already addressed one of our an edge position. So at this point, the top two quarterbacks left are Matt Corral and Sam Howell, and some people move them around differently or have them in different spots. I literally have them graded like right next to each other. So I am going to go... I would like to get at least one of the top five because like Carson Strong has a massive arm. He's a good pocket passer, but I just do not trust that knee. Maybe that makes him fall down into like the fourth round, and we can like swoop him up there. But I think you at least should go and get somebody with a decent ceiling. What are some other ones here? We got Leo Chenal, who's still available. I really like Leo Chenal. Great coverage linebacker. I think he would work amazingly with Jordan Brooks. Quay Walker is still available. Quay Walker's still available. I don't think I can take a QB here. I think I got to go Quay Walker. Oh, man, this is too good. And also, like, the corner talent right now isn't super great. Jalen Peter is not really he's a nickel corner and a safety. He's Jamal Adams light is kind of what I've heard. So I'm going to leave Jalen Peter alone. And I think right here I am going to... I'm going to take a risk. I'm going to take Matt Corral. Here. And again, taking a QB in the second round does not preclude you from taking a QB next year if a better one is on the board. Brian Asamoah is still available. So I'm trying to remember where I had him. So for me, I had Devin Lloyd, Nakobe Dean, Leo Chenal, Quay Walker, Christian Harris, Troy Anderson, Chad Muma, Brian Asamoah. So what does our linebacking room look like right now? Brian Asamoah, Brandon Smith is still there. I think Brian Asamoah, as it stands right now, is the best inside linebacker on the board. But let's take a look at what what corners are also available. Marcus Jones, I don't think would fit in this scheme. Jalen Armour Davis I don't rank him that high. As it stands right now, there is no corner that I would take here at 68. However, there is Zach Tom, who's really interesting. Oh, could go and try and shore up that right tackle spot. trying to remember like where he aligned. So he in 2018 he primarily aligned at left tackle. But let's see, is 6'4", 304. He doesn't really have that like body type that you're looking for in a right tackle. We've already taken a QB. Parham's really good. I don't really see him being a Jamari Sawyer is interesting. I don't see Zach Tom playing right tackle. Darian Kennard is interesting. I could see him playing right tackle, actually. He's got a good build. I think, because if Abraham Lucas was still available, I would be all over taking Abe Lucas. Brian Asamoah is still there. I like Brian Asamoah, but the question is, do I like him more than a Darian Kennard? And I think I think I'm going to double dip here. I'm going to double dip, and I'm going to go and get Darian Kennard. And we also pick 4 picks later, so I'm okay with grabbing him. But I like Darian Kennard as your like right tackle of the future. And then of course we traded for Andre Dillard, and he has enough years of NFL experience that I think that he could walk right on into this offense. So, just a quick recap. We have gone through, we traded back in the first round. We got Jermaine Johnson and Andre Dillard from a trade with the Eagles. And then we went and got our potential QB of the future in Matt Corral at 41. We traded pick 40 to get a few additional picks later on, and that pick led to Darian Kennard. So we've addressed edge. At least we've addressed edge with a really stud pass rusher. We have a potential QB of the future, and then we have left tackle and right tackle. Now I think we go and we try and get that linebacker. And what do you know? Brian Asamoah is still there at 72. This is a slam dunk pick. I'm going for it. Okay, Godek goes to Indianapolis. Jalen Tolbert, Jamari Sawyer, Sam Williams off the board. Dang, I like Sam Williams, but we already took Jermaine Johnson, so I'm okay with waiting to take another edge rusher. We're going to try and take 2 edge rushers in this draft just because this draft is so loaded at edge rusher. Pick 80. Who do we still have available at corner? So none of the corners have really come off the board since the last pick, and there still isn't a corner that I would take this high. So let's just try and examine best player available right now. Alex Wright. And again, I'm kind of basing this off of PFF, but I'm also kind of basing this off of my own mock draft sheet. So let's take a look at center, because there's a couple centers that I would love to take at this point. There are 2 that I would be okay with taking this high, and those are Cam Jurgens out of Nebraska and Cole Strange out of Tennessee Chattanooga. And what do you know? Cole Strange is right there. I think, when do I pick next? I pick again at 83. So I think that they're going to go higher than everybody thinks, so I'm going to take my top center in the draft to develop behind Austin Blythe, and that is Cam Jurgens, center out of Nebraska. Who else we got? Dameon Pierce is still available here at 83. Trying to figure out where I had Dameon Pierce. I like Dameon Pierce a lot. He doesn't really have that super great vision, but I think that he's actually a pretty decent running back. So I would not be opposed to taking Dameon Pierce here, but I think we can get a little more value. Luke Fortner's already gone. We already have our QB, so we don't need to go Bailey Zapp. Dane Belton, safety out of Iowa. Zamir White. Honestly, I think I'm going to trade back a little bit and see if I can recoup any other picks. So I think some of my guys will be available. So let's trade back into like 90, I think. So 83 to 92, what could I get reasonably for that? Let's take a look at the draft chart. Backing off from 83 to 92, 175 to 132. So we need about 40 points of value. roughly. So somewhere in the 130s. We'll go ahead and take 132. I think that's perfect. Offer that. And they accept, so we'll go back a little bit. They took Alontae Taylor off the board. Damian Pierce is gone. Nicholas Petit-Frere is gone. That's fine. We addressed both tackles. Cole Strange is gone. Like I said, these centers are going to go a lot higher than people think. Here is where I'm going to take our next edge rusher off the board. I'm going to take D'Angelo Malone out of Western Kentucky. He's been flying up draft boards, and I think he's already been linked to the Seahawks, and I think he fits that defense that they want. Now I to think is where we go corner. And I'm going to go with a corner that Seattle has already been linked to, and I think they are a big fan of. He absolutely killed it at the Combine, and that is Kalen Barnes, cornerback out of Baylor. Dude's an absolute burner. I think he fits exactly what Pete wants. We picked back-to-back, so now I think I'm going to go... I can try and take best available. And I think in this case it's Zamir White, running back out of Georgia. Yeah, we'll take Zamir White. I really like Zamir White. He's a bruiser of a back. Reminds me a lot of Chris Carson. Now I kind of want to back off a little bit. I do want to address the interior of this pass rush it's the interior of this line. It's great that we re-signed Al Woods and we tendered Brian Monet. However, I do think that we can get younger. Al Woods is going to be 35. He did sign a 2-year extension, but I don't expect him to have that long in the league. I really want to help nail down that interior, so I'm going to go Matthew Butler out of Tennessee, defensive tackle. All right, next up, pick 145. We got Brian Robinson still available. I'm okay with doubling down a running back because I have a feeling that Chris Carson's not going to be ready to go, and he might even be cut with a failing physical because that neck injury seems to be really giving him a lot of problems. And I would totally be fine with double dipping here at running back, but maybe not right now. I think what we can do is I'd like to take a look at what other corners are available. Josh Joby is still available. I am kind of tempted to take him here because he did go to Alabama. He's not a super thrilling prospect, but what is interesting about him is Carl Scott, who's our new defensive passing game coach. He was the defensive backs coach at Alabama when Josh Joby was there. So he kind of has that connection, so I could absolutely see them going after Joby here. Jalen Watson is also another corner that's been connected to Seattle at this point. I would not be surprised if they went and grabbed him here. So it's kind of between Joby and Watson, but I think Joby has that upside. So I'm going to take Josh Joby here. Now we're at 153. I'm going to try and double dip at running back again. I don't have an issue with doing that. And I'm going to go with Brian Robinson. The fact that he's fallen this far in this draft is insane. The dude has that SEC experience and is an absolute bruiser. I honestly have him, I have him way higher than what PFF does. But we will go ahead and take him if he's available. Now I think we're just going to go best player available. Always need more guys on special teams. Did get another defensive back, Zaquandre White. We already have multiple. I'm tempted to go and get a backup safety, but we could always use more depth on the offensive line. So I am going to let's take a look at our interior offensive line. So interior, that offensive line. Ben Brown is intriguing. This is kind of where I would have him going. Is Schaefer still available? No, he's gone. I think I'm going to go Ben Brown here out of Mississippi. He's a little underweight, but he has that frame that could really show up for a NFL guard. So we're just going to add a little bit of depth to our offensive line. Gabe Jackson and Damian Lewis got injured last year, and while Phil Haynes is great, he also has his own injury concerns, so adding a little bit of depth to your guard room is still a pretty great pickup. So let's take a look. All in all, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 picks. Fantastic. You always want more picks, especially in a situation like this where your team is pretty much in a rebuild. And I know that Pete and John are going to say we're not rebuilding, but let's call it what it is. You lost your star franchise quarterback and your star Hall of Fame linebacker. Got to start somewhere. So, again, traded down with the Eagles. We got pick 15, pick 83, and Andre Dillard. The Eagles got pick number 9. We used pick 15 to get Jermaine Johnson out of Florida State. We traded back from pick 40 and picked up a couple other day 3 picks and a pick in round 4. They used that pick to get, I forget. I'm trying to remember who they used that pick to get. It doesn't really show, but that's fine. Whatever they used that pick for, I don't think it was that huge. So we used pick 68 that we got from the Texans trade to get Darian Kennard. He's fantastic. I think he would slide right into right tackle. Kind of sad that Abraham Lucas was off the board at that point. But Darian Kennard is a decent consolation prize. I think he'll be great in this defense. He will compete with Jake Curran and Ricky Camp for the starting job, and even if he doesn't win, he'll be a great backup, I think. Brian Asamoah was amazingly still available there at pick 72. We did lose Wagner, and while Jordan Brooks is a fantastic run defender, Brian Asamoah provides a good partner there that he lost. Cam Jurgens, I think is a great pickup at 80. He has that NFL size you covet for like a starting center. He's very smart. I know you signed Austin Blythe to a 1-year, $4 million deal, but I think you can develop Cam Jurgens into a solid starter. You can even have him compete in training camp. And if Cam wins, then Austin Blythe has as many snaps at guard as he does at center, and you can move him over there. That is fantastic. Definitely want to take at least 2 pass rushers in this draft, so we went after D'Angelo Malone out of Western Kentucky here in round 3. I love D'Angelo Malone. Early on, I kind of had him slated as like a late day 3 pick, but he's really just shot up draft boards. I would love to get him here, either late day 2, early day 3. With our first 4th round pick, we traded back. We got, this is 108, so we got this from the trade with the Texans. Kalen Barnes, super fast. I think had one of the fastest 40 times of any defensive back and a great 10-yard split. I think that he has the measurables that Pete covets in his defensive backs. I think he'll fit in great. Aside from that, took running back Zamir White out of Georgia. I think Zamir White is one of my favorite running backs in this class. He's an absolute bruiser, is a dangerous passing threat as well, so great pickup there. Shoring up our defensive interior in the future, Matthew Butler is a good building block for that. If Al Woods decides to retire after this year, who knows what happens. But we got to try and get younger in the interior. Getting Josh Joby at pick 145 is great. He's kind of started falling down draft boards. But again, the Carl Scott connection is what really drew me to Joby. I think he's a good development piece, even if he doesn't start. Pick 153, we took Brian Robinson out of Alabama. The fact that he fell this far is insane. I have him so much higher than this. I have him going like at the end of round 3, early round 4. So this is just a no-brainer depth piece. It doesn't hurt to take 2 running backs, especially since your 2 starting running backs in Chris Carson and Rashad Penny have a lot of injury concerns. And then last but not least, I went and just added a little bit of interior offensive line depth and got guard Ben Brown out of Mississippi. Ole Miss. Again, like I said, Gabe Jackson and Damian Lewis were both injured for stretches down last year. And while Phil Haynes played good in relief, you can't rely on just having one solid backup guards. So having another depth piece and a development piece is fantastic. So with that, those are the 12 picks. That is my last mock draft of the season. Thank you guys so much for stopping by. If you liked the video, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more content. If you guys are interested in sticking around to watch the draft with me, I'm going to be doing a live stream with myself, Brandon, and Danny over on the Walk the Hawk channel. I will be sure to include the link to that channel here in the description of the video. So be sure to come out and hang out. We'd love to have you. And again, hit that bell icon to be notified whenever I go live. I try to talk about Seahawks as much as I can, and I'm sure we're going to be having a discussion stream after this all wraps up and we go into the draft tomorrow, and I realize that I'm completely wrong on every single one of my picks. So again, thank you guys so much for stopping by, and have a great rest of your night. Go Hawks.